Hey YouTube, as promised, the update on my Mosin Nagant 9130 with its modern upgrades. The scout mount right over here, my improvised scout mount from Leapers. 120 rounds and it's still staying solid. So by all means, go check out my other vid on that scout mount to see what was involved in making that happen. It's nice and simple and cheap, and so far very effective. Now we have a new upgrade, the Huber Concepts match grade trigger. Do this nice and easy. It's the skeletonized version for $85. I know it's not traditional looking, but it's my gun, it's my way, I like it. It is dirt simple to install. A monkey with one arm could do it. After you take the stock apart, it takes literally a minute or two to swap out the trigger, maybe 2 minutes. And then, depending on the condition of your stock, it takes you about maybe another 5 to 10 minutes of inletting with a Dremel and a little router bit to grind out just a little bit of wood to make sure it all seats nice and solid. It's got an adjustment screw, which I'm going to come up here and point out. And there it is, right there in that little hole. That's your adjustment screw. Nice and simple. You adjust down to about 3 pounds. It's real nice. Another viewer wanted to see a view of the scope from the shooter position, so I'm going to do my best here to pull this off. It's very sunny and glaring out here. That target down there is about 35 yards, maybe 40, depending on whatever. But those are 1-inch dots that I got to set on. I got to set on that top target there on the bottom left dot, and I got the scope set on 5 power, which is approximately the same view as 50 yards on 7 power. 7 power being the top level of the scope. So I'm going to bring this down here, shooter position, and I've got a lot of glare on my view screen here, so I hope that this is right. That's about shooter position right there. I don't know how well you can see it. I don't know how well you can see maybe the dot or the reticle. I'm just going to have to kind of wait and look myself when I see this on screen. I'm going to zoom in real easy. So that's from shooter position, but it's zoomed in. So let me zoom back out. And it's about what you're looking at right there. So I hope that looks good. It really looks good. Looks a lot better than you would think it would look. The glass is nice and clear. Let's see, the scope adjustments are done with a coin, so I really don't want to be doing that in a field, you know, on a hunt. But so I've pretty much limited this thing to a 200-yard deer rifle, which is pretty much as far as we'll ever be able to shoot around here in Central Florida, given the woods and whatever. I mean, average shot is probably 100. So I got a 50-yard target going on here. I'm going to set all these up because the wind has knocked them over. I also didn't see any videos. I'm sure someone's got one out there, but I didn't see any videos out there of someone who shot a Mosin with good ammo or with bad ammo and a scope and see what kind of results they got. So that's another reason for doing this. Run through this real fast. We have 147 grain spam can ammo. Everyone knows that a Mosin's got like a 1 in 9.5 twist. Usually favors the heavier bullets. So the best of the day with 147 out of the spam is 3/4 of an inch for the first 3, 1.5 inches for the 4th out of a cold barrel. And then out of a warm barrel, the worst I did was 3 inches, which was just absolutely awful. A lot of this was my poor technique. Most of this was my poor technique, let's be real here. My best on Silver Bear, 203 grain soft point, at, like I say, all at 50. Best over here. This one was really disappointing because I put 2 pretty much on top of each other, and then I flinched on the last one, so I'll never know what that group could have done. But 1/4 of an inch for the first 2 shots out of a cold barrel. I mean, that's just, it doesn't get any better than that. I don't think, for a Mosin. I mean, unless you're an absolute, world-class shooter. then the absolute worst I did was 2 inches out of a cold barrel. I mean, I just was completely sloppy. You know, it was towards the end of that shooting session for those bullets, and I just got sloppy. There's no doubt about it. Come over here to 180 grain Winchester, did about the same. You look over here, my best group out of a cold barrel, 3 shots into a 1/2 inch. Where's my worst? My worst, 2 inches out of a warm barrel. Sounds just like the Silver Bear, doesn't it? 2 inches worst, 1/2 inch best. Difference between being a cold barrel and a warm barrel. So this gun obviously shoots better cold than it does hot. Same with all guns, right? S&B 174 grain match ammo. Where's my best? My best is up here. 2 shots right on top of each other for a 1/4 inch. I'll just call it a 1/4 inch, and then the third one came out to a 1/2 inch. Where's my worst? No surprise, warm barrel. I did, what do we got here? 1.25 inch out of a warm barrel out of 4 shots. So, and we got one left. Privy Partisan, 174 grain match. What did I do here? My worst group was group number 2, which out of a cold barrel was as much as 1.5 inch. And then my best came up here was just over a 1/4 inch. We'll just call it a legitimate 1/2 inch for 3 shots. That was me buckling down. And then the very next group after that was just as good. Oh, wind about blew me over here. We got another 2 of them pretty much almost on top of each other. You got a 1/4 inch, third shot to a 1/2 inch. And yeah, I already showed you my worst on that one. So actually the absolute worst was starting from a hot barrel was 1.25 inch. So, you know, you combine my level of shooting, I'm an average shooter, with the ammo and the gun. You know, you give it a reasonable gun, a reasonable ammo with good rifling and a good trigger, and you can actually see the target better with a scope. This just shows right here a Mosin can do it. So if you're thinking about getting one, by all means, you know, you can have some fun with it and you can do some good things with it. You just got to get a good one. So happy, you know, have a happy search, and see you later.